Software Day. I'm your host, Nabila Huda, and today we're going to review a recent polemic in our nation, foreign labours. There is approximately 32 million citizens in Malaysia, but guess what? According to Bernama, more than 6 million of them are migrant workers, and that number is sure to increase with the constant development of our country, especially in our capital, Kuala Lumpur. At one point, they have been contributing to our country's development in terms of construction, maid services, and etc. etc. However, the problem arises when they are growing exponentially. We'll be calling 4 panelists to dig into this issue further. Our first guest is Ms. Hanani Marzuki, a senior officer from the Ministry of Human Resources. Hi, how are you doing today?
Thank you, Ms. Nabila. I've been doing good.
Our second panelist is Dr. Arif Iskandar, a public researcher and activist for civil rights. Good day to you, sir.
And you too, Ms. Nabila.
The last two guests, Mr. Amir Jose and Ms. Noraida from the Immigration Department. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting us.
It is a pleasure to join in this fine morning.
To start off, would you like to share your views with us regarding the overpopulated foreign labours in this country, Ms. Hanani? I'm sure you have a lot of comments on this issue as you are from the Ministry of Human Resources, right?
Yeah, sure, Ms. Nabila. Firstly, I'd like to stress on the motion taken to reduce the foreign labours in our country. But first, I would like to clarify that the term is to reduce, not to abolish or to terminate. Because at the ministry, we work along with the government in making sure to achieve the target of limiting employment of foreign labourers by 15% by 2020, and as outlined in the 11th Malaysia Plan. And I personally think that it is relevant for us to reduce the dependence on foreign workers as we're making way for locals. We're creating more opportunities for them first. But at the same time, I cannot deny their contributions. It is unrealistic for us not to have them working here. Hence, we actually need to estimate just how many of them should be accepted and just for how many years to come in order to prevent the overpopulation issue. And yeah, do you agree with me, Mr. Amijal?
I couldn't agree more. We cannot deny the fact that foreign labour play a prominent role in the development of our country, not overlooking the fact that a lot of jobs these foreign workers hold are just that local workers do not show interest in doing. More foreign workers will bring in fewer opportunities that will be available for locals who are desperate for jobs, considering most business owners would rather employ foreign workers than local ones.
Yes, that's very true because their minimum wage is lower than locals. I think both of you have made your views very clear about the bad side of their presence here in our country. The numbers of foreign labour certainly need to be decreased. Don't you think so, Dr. Arif?
From my point of view, I must say that I agree up to a point, but personally, I strongly oppose to the idea. Without these immigrants working on farms, landscape businesses, contractors, builders, life wouldn't be as comfortable as it is. When you say immigrants are taking our jobs, you get people riled up at the wrong reason. It is our people that are giving up these jobs. Let's face the facts. How many of us would willing to work in 33 degrees heat in the sun for more than 10 hours a day, 7 days a week for a meager minimum wage pay? Not many. The problem isn't the fact that there aren't any jobs for local workers. The problem is that people are not willing to work in those conditions, not when there are higher paying jobs in air-conditioned buildings. Another fact is that these foreign workers are essentially an assured workforce for businesses and development companies. The foreign workers are brought in through agents and work on contractual basis. They are also not subject to the same minimum wage laws that local workers are subject to. Since they do not qualify for pension in our country, utilizing foreign workers are immensely cheaper not only in the short run but also in the long run. Compared to using local workers, I would also like to add that these workers we're bringing in are not uneducated or unskilled per se. Agents are required by law to supply only skilled workers in accordance to the demands of a given company. So it's not like foreign workers skilled in factory work is going to the restaurant industry. What about you, Ms. Nabila?
Dr. Arif has a very good point there. Foreign labourers do contribute to our country's development abundantly since our citizens don't favour the workload. And I think this problem regarding our mindset would be very hard to change, right?
Pardon me, Ms. Nabila, can I say something?
Yes, please, go ahead.
I would like to add to his point. I share the same view as him. Unfortunately, it is next to impossible for Malaysians to go without these people. Many of our economic sectors are excessively dependent on foreign workers. When the government froze the import of new foreign workers on 2016, according to the New Straits Times, some local furniture factories had to wind up owing to the labor crunch. Labor crunch or labor shortage is an economic condition in which employers believe there are insufficient qualified candidates to fill the marketplace. Moreover, foreign workers are inexpensive, hardworking, and will not resist 3D jobs such as which are dirty, dangerous, and difficult, which locals instantly shun. To the employers, Malaysians will only take jobs in a comfortable working environment. As a result, the local construction and manufacturing industries have been anchored by foreigners. Therefore, I propose that we, the Migration Department, will take stern action against employers hiring unregistered foreign workers under the Immigration Act. Under the measure, employers found hiring overstayers will have their bank accounts and assets seized or frozen.
That sounds wonderful. I started your such as a Miss Nuraida.
That is a relevant point you got there, Mr. Raida. But don't you think that as we aspire to become more progressive towards Malaysia as a developed nation, hiring foreign workers actually halt the process? Because the Look East policy that was once introduced by Tun Mahathir Mohamad and seemingly to be assembled again later on, urge us to learn from the high-tech developed countries like the Japan, like the South Korea, to build and to utilize more technology as an alternative to manpower. Because yes, it will cost a lot, but the usage and the long-term benefits should be considered profitable. And Ms. Nuraida mentioned before about the 3D environment, which is dirty, dangerous, and difficult. Yes, it is inevitable when it comes to working at a construction site. But actually, few companies had started the initiative to provide a proper settlement and even food supplies for the workers. And we at the ministry, we're going to support this constantly, as we believe that it will attract the locals as it matches their preferred preferences for working environment. And we actually think that it might change their mentalities of working in the construction site.
Could you please explain further on the rationale of the motion, like the hidden impact of bringing in more foreign workers to our country?
Yes, of course. I'd like to view this issue in another aspect too, which is economy. Apparently, having too many of foreign workers in our country actually affect our currency rate, because we know that these foreign workers came here without their families, so every time they would receive their monthly wages, it is necessity for them to transfer back the money. So here we look at this. The ringgit will be converted to Bangladeshi taka, the Indonesian rupiah. So actually, when the demand of these respective currencies increase, it is vice versa for our ringgit, and hence this will weaken our ringgit value. And we consider reducing foreign workers will be one of the best alternatives to strengthen our currency rate. How about you, Dr. Arif? Anything you want to bring forward?
Okay, the growing magnitude of international migration has rekindled research into the economic impact of foreign workers in host economies. Traditionally, research on the effects of migrants has focused on static labor market impacts. Recently, a heterogeneous set of empirical studies have started to link immigration to wider positive economic effects. For instance, immigration could possibly generate productivity gains from specialization when native and foreign workers specialize in different tasks and occupation. But the case with Malaysia is a very interesting one. The vast majority of studies on economic impacts of foreign workers are carried out in the United States and the EU countries, where both high-skilled and low-skilled foreign workers are present. Malaysia, however, has a long history of using low-skilled foreign workers, and there are persistent public concerns about potential negative effects on local workers and on wider processes of economic development. Especially during times of stagnation, the government has shown to be prone to introduce policies restricting the use of foreign workers. A good example is the Foreign Workers First Stop policy, implemented during the mid-2000s. In reality, the existence of foreign workers creates a competitive labor market and thus allowing an invisible hand to be effectively put to work. Generally speaking, the foreign workers' biggest contribution is to the Malaysian economy. By supplying the cheaper labor force, it keeps the manufacturing commodities low. As a result, with the low production costs, business profits are raised and it attracts international investors. And in turn, these foreign investments would benefit the Malaysian society even more as more jobs will be created. The problem of them sending back their money to their respective countries will be insignificant compared to the greater positive impact on the economy that they bring. So instead of going forth with the narrative to reduce foreign labours, it would be best to think of a sort of preparation for our local workers. Our education syllabus could focus on more skilled knowledge to prepare ourselves for a possibly fully autonomous workforce. By training our workers to manage such machines, production rate and costs will surely go down, benefiting our economy to new heights.
I think you are right. Preparing our locals for better knowledge in rough industries, manufactures and constructions is a better solution to this polemic. Due to the citizens can be trained to be more high-skilled and they can finally implement their expertise widely for this nation. Instead of depending too much on foreign workers, this country will have generations of qualified candidates. I want to set Japan as an example. You see, most of their workers are the locals and they rarely hire foreigners. Consequently, their currency is higher and even the basic workers get paid quite a lot. Hence, I support Dr. Arif's points.
Well, now that we have given all our viewpoints, I'm curious as to what you're thinking of Mr. Amir.
I guess Mr. Arif really have a strong point there. Hence, I strongly agree about preparing our locals with more skilled knowledge in maintaining, fixing, and repairing machinery, so we wouldn't have to rely fully on foreign labours anymore in the foreseeable future. However, I am quite skeptical of the when we can achieve this autonomous workforce. Our country is currently facing an economic crisis with 1.3 trillion debt. Therefore, it is a very cost-heavy process, and I really don't see this idea of an autonomous workforce happening in the near future.
That suggestion could also solve this issue as it will be efficient to be implemented. Because after hearing from Mr. Arif, I also would like to attest to his previous statement on how foreign workers contributed a lot, especially in construction industry, fulfilling the needs of the companies and private sectors. And as the motion is to reduce, I believe that our main target is actually to make clear of the illegal foreign workers first, commonly known as party, the pendatang asing tanpa izin. And after that, we'll be looking at the solutions that equally beneficial for both government and private sectors. And the ministry now been working on a proposal of establishing an organization that will assist and monitor the intake of foreign workers, making sure proper steps and procedure taken, be it the visa and permits, prior skills training, and their well-being while working in our country, without leaving behind the importance of having the locals first to be recruited.
Does anyone else have anything to say? Otherwise, let's bring this discussion to an end.
I think all of us agree with the solution. That is definitely the best way to solve this issue.
I second that.
Alright then. Today we have discussed the pros and cons of foreign labours, also solutions to this issue. I hope you have enjoyed today's discussion, and a massive thank you to our 4 panelists for their contributions. That's all from me. See you next time on Morning Express.